I mean, listen, Stafford and McVay in the postseason are no joke. I mean, this is now their 6th playoff game together. We can show you Stafford's. They're 5-1. The one loss was by 1 point on the road to an excellent Lions team. Stafford's numbers are insane. 111 rating, 5-to-1 touchdown interception ratio, almost 300 yards passing per game.
Yeah.
And then you pair it with a defense that yesterday I was trying to say, I'm throwing out Week 18 for a lot of these teams. I think that's fair. They haven't allowed 10 points in 4 straight games. Haven't allowed 10. They've held 4 straight teams to single digits. I understand we were like, yeah, well, the Niners were not considered a totally incompetent team. The Cardinals were not considered a totally incompetent offense. That was the Jets. The Jets were, and the Jets at the end of the year was when supposedly right. It was cold. I get that.
One was cold. One
was
rain.
I get it. But last night was, and so listen, this team has all the pieces and brew, and this is where I will give Sean McVay credit. Sean McVay said, I will take our chances with whomever we play with a fresh, as healthy as possible team versus the best possible matchup with a potentially banged up or tired team, which when you have an older offense, I think you saw it because that offense while the defense was great the last month of the year, the offense was not. And you saw, I thought Stafford looked awesome yesterday, and that's a scary team.
Well, that's what surprised me. You mentioned Stafford, and he has been great in the playoffs. But like I've been saying this for a week or so, the last 3 games.
He was not.
Regular season, right. 1 touchdown, 1 pick, like a passer rating below 80.
Yeah.
And then he comes out and looks great. And that first drive that set the tone for the whole game, even though they didn't continue to score as much. So I was surprised by Stafford's play just because of how he had looked recently. And then that defense. And you're right. Like they haven't, 8 points a game over the last 4 games, 3 of them non-playoff teams. I kind of wrote it off as that because the defense hadn't been great this year.
But it's young, and so they're getting better.
Yeah, they're getting better. Both of us like Verse, and, they've gotten better. And they have the 2nd fewest sacks of any playoff team. All right? And they had 9 last night. So, I mean, that shocked me. Like, man, they got that type of pressure on Darnold like that. And so, they looked very good, and I was surprised by the overall dominance.
Sneaky winner here, Detroit Lions. I felt like they beat the Vikings last week, so the Vikings obviously had to go on the road. And then they're tired, they're beaten up. I thought there was a little bit of an emotional dip. I also don't think, since they beat them twice, I didn't want to see Lions-Vikings. If I was Dan Campbell, like, man, we got to beat this team for a 3rd time.
But they wouldn't have maybe, right? Because, I mean, it's not. I mean, I guess they didn't know it ahead of time. But the next.
No, eventually.
But I mean, they're gonna. Either one would have been underdogs against Philly. I also, who also Vikings fans should maybe be mad at? It's Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell and we'll see you in 2 weeks to Kevin O'Connell was the Rams rallying cry. They put it on in their locker room like that was, third-hand bulletin board material, but whatever it was.
That was savvy, though.
Maybe he was doing it on purpose. But
you always talk about the quarterbacks. You'd rather see Darnold than Matt Stafford.
No question.
In the playoffs.
Yeah, nobody wants to see the Rams.
Or McVay. You don't really want to see McVay.
Nobody wants to see the Rams.
Eagles will host the Rams Sunday afternoon. Stafford has won his last 6 starts. His last loss before Thanksgiving against the Eagles. That was Week 12. The Eagles won 37-20. Saquon went crazy. 314 rushing yards. Brew, who do you like in the rematch here?
Well, I'm a Saquon guy, all right? Just because I had picked Green Bay doesn't mean I'm not a Saquon guy. And like you said, he had his way, 255 yards rushing. As a team, they ran for over 300, and that wasn't light years ago. It was week 12. Now, again, obviously the Rams' defense has improved, but they pushed Minnesota around last night. You're not going to be able to do that, I don't believe, with the Eagles.
True.
And the Eagles' defense, I said it, if J. Lo had showed up and not been J. No Sunday, I think Green Bay could have won that game. But that defense for Philly was awesome, all right? And so if the defense is playing that well, you got great receivers, even though you don't have to throw it a ton. Jalen Hurts is at least experienced. You're running with Saquon. You beat him by almost doubled him up last time you played him. Give me the Eagles.
Okay. 2 Eagles fans on the set all of a sudden.
And you know what? I got to say this before Nick goes. Nick, man, I don't like the way you've been flirting with the Rams.
Well,
you're supposed to be the Eagles guy, and you winking at the Rams and buying them flowers and all that stuff.
I wave pom-poms for no one, and I'm insulted by this question. I'm an Eagles guy.
Everyone knows
the
that.
Eagles are my pick.
Here comes one of the worst bits that we do.
See?
Oh, no.
It's the odd flowers.
What?
Now there's usually a letter.
Are you gonna do this to the Eagles?
The last one had lips on it. Remember?
I don't even want to see what this card has on it.
Lyles, will you do the honors? I don't know what this.
It's also odd that I always read the letter, even though it's
What does
addressed
it
to you.
say on the front?
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
I don't know how is the audience supposed to know what it's to?
It says, to Nicky Poo.
Wow.
From you know who. This better not be a poem.
Nicky Poo.
That's embarrassing.
I see the outline of the lips.
What does it say?
I see it through the...
What does it say?
It's like a screw right.
What does it say?
Big letter.
Can you just read it?
Let me get focused.
Okay.
Hey, you. That's just... I just wanted to say I had a great time talking to you last night. You've always believed in us, and that really inspired the team last night. I know you're worried about hurting the Eagles to the Super Bowl's feelings, but I know they'll understand. You and I have always been meant to be together. Forever yours.
Really?
The Rams to the Super Bowl take. And again,
Brew?
you're wondering,
Really?
Hold on one second.
How many teams you gonna get
Brew,
this year?
Lips.
hold on, Brew.
There's
Give me a
lips.
moment here. This is important, if you will.
It's been a long
I
time coming.
can't hide it anymore. I've always loved this team.
It's true.
Not only do the Rams beat the Eagles next week, the Rams
Too far.
win the NFC.
Too far.
There's
Got to be kidding me.
no.
Are you serious? That's how you do it after all this time. After all this time.
I didn't want you to find
After
out
all
this
this
way.
time, you what?
I didn't want you to find
You
out.
didn't what?
I'm sorry.
You're sorry. You're sorry. That's all you have to say for yourself. After all this
The
time.
heart wants-
Really?
Oh, wow.
You know what?
Oh
Give me
my
that.
God.
Thank you.
I'll take it.
You know what, Chris? Call me.
Oh, my.
Thank you.
I'm rolling with the, what the heck, man? You know what? You deserve that. You deserve that.